Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome to the EGGPlosive Podcast. This week we have got a very sort of cool little special new little project that I'm trying. I've basically put out on Instagram a little while ago, or quite a long time ago actually, that I wanted to do one-on-one podcasts with creators sort of all over the world. So that doesn't mean I have to be in the same room as them, and logistically makes it a lot easier. The conversations we can go in can be like different tips and tricks, discussing each other's sort of experiences, and in general sort of having a conversation through the power of the internet. Obviously, with the current situation with the whole COVID-19, what better opportunity than to do this while everybody is stuck at home. So my guinea pig for this project is Mason. He's from the United States. I tell you what, instead of me explaining it, Mason, why don't you introduce yourself and explain to the people who you are and what you do.
All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Mason Ripple. I'm 23 years old. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I'm a content creator. I do all different things, ranging from like concert stuff, commercial stuff, documentary, real estate, any type of commercial stuff. I'm currently freelancing right now, but recently worked at an ad agency for a little. And yeah, I've been shooting and editing for maybe 5-6 years, taking it seriously for 2-3 years. Graduated college last August. So, yeah, just kind of going with the flow and, trying to put the work in now to make sure I can, fully support myself freelancing. So.
Awesome. So how many sort of years would you say you've been doing it sort of full time? I know previously you used to work at an ad agency, correct? And then sort of, alongside that you've been doing video work. How did it sort of start off for you? What sort of got you into like video production?
Yeah. In high school, I actually took like a media class. My high school was pretty fortunate. We had like a few Mac computers, had some good cameras, like low level DSLRs, but good stuff to learn on. So I took that class and just like really fell in love with it pretty quickly. So it wasn't right there that I decided that's like what I wanted to do. But maybe around the time I went to college, decided that is what I wanted to do. So that was maybe, that was like 5-6 years ago. And then, didn't really put my full energy into it, to be honest, during college, because you have other things going on. You're kind of going through like this life transition period. But, towards the end of it, I decided that I wanted to try freelancing. So I would do that on the side, and then got offered this internship right out of school at this ad agency I mentioned. So that was kind of my big thing, was like, do I want to take this job, this internship, and then kind of have it be a side hustle thing and work it into a freelance position. But recently with COVID, that kind of didn't become an option anymore. So now I'm kind of in this position where my decision was made for me that I'm going to be doing this full time. So yeah, really just like seeing right now, now is kind of where I'm trying to make like my next move and stuff, and figure out like exactly what sectors of it I want to work in, because I've always been like willing to do it all and kind of say yes to a lot of things, which I think is important.
Yeah, I know exactly how that feels.
and it's like a great thing, right? But other times too, and I'm sure you've been there a million times, like you spread yourself too thin, or like you don't have like a niche. Like I know you do a bunch of different shit and you're good at all of it, but like the way I found you, for example, was through the concert stuff, and not to say that like you're better at that than anything, but like I think it's important to like have a kind of good balance of like being a, what's the word? What's the multi-tool? What's the phrase?
I can't even think.
Whatever it is.
Multi-skilled, multi-tier.
Jack of all trades. Yeah. Whatever the phrase is. Kind of like that's where I am right now, is like, do I try and spread myself in these different areas, or do I kind of find a niche or two and do that? So, yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly sort of how that feels. I mean, especially when, for me, as you say, like I've done so much stuff like across the board. Like I've done corporate stuff, I've done sports stuff, done lifestyle content, done like product stuff, and even weddings. And it's you sort of, obviously you get to know what you do and love naturally. Like obviously you're always going to have your favourite little subsector or like subgenre within that. Like obviously for me, it is the nightlife stuff. That's what I've always done from the beginning. That's what I find the easiest. I can do that stuff in an hour, my eyes closed, and it's what I get the most kick out of. But yeah, I know what you mean with the whole sort of trying to decide sort of what path you're almost going to go down, and having that issue of always saying yes to everything. Because obviously when you're self-employed and you're your only sort of income, if someone's like, oh yeah, 100 quid or $100 for this, but you're like, oh really, I want 150, but it's like, oh, but I'd still rather have the 100 than have nothing. And I think learning to value yourself is one of the hardest things, but it's obviously, of course, it's one of the most valuable things as well. Like, I still struggle with it now, 5-6 years in, like knowing what to do with pricing is just so hard and so tough.
Right. And that's something that I was like curious on based off of your experience, because yeah, I feel like that balance is incredibly important, but also not necessarily like scary to navigate, but just like difficult to navigate, you know? Like if you raise your price double, let's say, you might not get the certain job. And truthfully, you would do the job for... Also, how much is a quid?
A quid's £1. So it's basically, it's about $1.20 at the minute. It's really bad.
So, okay, noted. So, but like, you know, say you'll do this for $200, 200 quid, whatever. But you know, you feel like you're worth 400, and that's what's like I've struggled with a lot is like, do I say 400 and risk not getting the job, or do I just say like, you know, 250, get the job? So yeah, that's something I was wondering, like based off your experience, like, and maybe I don't know if you want to talk just about concert stuff.
Can talk about anything. I don't mind any. I say I've sort of worked across the board. I've done corporate, I've done weddings, so it's up to you, man.
I guess to this question, I'll kind of like relate it back to concert stuff, because like right now for me, a lot of the artists I work with are growing artists. They're all like pretty established, but like I'll bring the example of like MK. They're not necessarily at like MK's level to where I don't know what your payment is and this and that, but I feel like with him, you know, there's a difference between raising your price $100 with him and $100 with like an artist who, with that $100, might turn around and say like, well, like, could I have my TM do it with their phone, or like, could I, you know, not to, because I know my work is like, I have room to improve, but like I know the quality I bring, and like they do too, and they value it. But obviously, like an artist at that level is gonna have a tougher time saying yes to certain like price changes. So I think that's what I'm curious on is like, when do you like kind of have that conversation, and how do you have it with some type of artist that you've been working with for a while, you know? Because it's also different too, right? If it's like a new artist and you're like, hey, here's the price, like take it or leave it. But if you've been charging someone like, say, 300, like when do you say like, hey, look, I think I'm worth like 350, 400?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I've had it with, not necessarily with like MK, but with other artists I've worked with, where we've sort of all grown together over like a 2-3 year period, but in that time their booking fee has potentially tripled or quadrupled, but my fee stayed the same. And I'm like, well, hang on, I'm still putting in the same, but you know, and at the same time my work's improved, because let's say I first started doing videos for them for say $200, let's say $200 or pounds, whatever it was, let's say 200. Let's say like 2.5 years later, I'm now sort of saying, look, I don't excuse me, I don't really want to be doing videos for like less than $350. And obviously in their eyes, they're like, yeah, but I'm still getting exactly the same thing. It's like, well, you're not, you're getting a much better quality, and everyone else is paying like double what you are. So it's really tough. I mean, I've had the conversation before where there's like, I'll sort of make it from the outpoint. If they say come to me with like a project that's maybe a little bit different, and they'll be like, look, we want you to do these dates, and these dates. So that like, how it would actually work is like the price would be is, so if they come to me with like a new project, I would say, okay, these like, because you want me to do this and this time it is actually going to cost this, you know, XYZ. Let's say, okay, you want me for 3 days, you want me to come here. I know in the past I've done it for this amount, but that was like 2 years ago now. My quality, just being honest with them, say, look, my quality stepped up now. I've got lots of other people that want me to do the work, but I'm more than happy to dedicate time to you because you're the person who sort of, you've been with me since, for a while. But if you want me to do it, this is the price it's going to be, and it's going to be 300 instead of like, don't say 200, be like, oh, it's going to be 300 a day plus up my travel and my expenses, but I'll make sure that you've got it within this date and this sort of thing. I think being firm with it, and if they say no, I'm sorry, then you sort of just have to hit that point where you're like, okay, then, no worries, man, no sweat. Like, if you want me to help you find someone else who's a little bit cheaper and within your budget, like, then that's cool. Like, unfortunately, like, some people will have budgets set aside. Yes, they can put loads more money into it, but they just don't want to. So there's no point you arguing with them because they don't want to spend the money, because it's just a battle you're never going to win. Obviously, you can try to convince them slightly, be like, well, look, by you paying this, you're getting this extra, you're providing more value. But if after that they still don't see it, then there's no point arguing with them, because it's better to just walk away and be like, yeah, okay, end it on good terms. Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to get someone who's cheaper, who's going to do a shitter job, and then they're going to appreciate how much effort you put in and how you naturally just went the extra step, where all of a sudden they're going to want, let's say they're going to want somebody to do like a quick edit for them, and that person's going to be like, well, yeah, but that's 100 extra. And they're like, well, my previous guy didn't. And then they're going to be reminded. So they'll get someone else who's cheaper, not as good, but in 6 months' time, they'll be coming back for you, and then they're going to pay your premium price. So, and that's how, like, it's. I think the best thing is try to always end it on good terms. Like, some clients, it might not, but I think as long as you're polite to them, just be like realistic with them. Just say, look, my quality of work's improved. This is what I feel my price is worth now. If they, ultimately say no, look, I'm sorry, it's still too much. If you think, you have to balance it out. If you think doing the work for them is worth doing it for the lower price, as in, is it going to get you exposure? Is it going to get you more contacts? Like, I've done gigs, like a couple of years ago, I did a gig for free. I filmed like a car, a car customization guy, a bit like like Pimp My Ride over in the States, because over here it's like Yanamize. So I filmed his birthday party of me doing that. I hadn't even edited a video. I got like 2 phone calls from 2 different clients like 3 days later saying, oh, like, we want to book you in to come do this, this and this. I got like a couple thousands worth of work out of it. And I said, oh, how did you book me? Because you haven't even seen my work. They went, no, but if Yanni's using you, then I know you're good. And like, so me doing that gig for free, it actually cost me because I had to fly back from Greece. But like, me doing that gig for free or flying back was like such a big staple. Not just that, but that guy's now, well, he's like a celebrity now. So, I always have that attached to him. And not just, now he knows of me as well. It's like just building your network and expanding your network. So I thought you just have to weigh it up. Like, is there potential value to gain out of you having your price slightly lower? Like, money isn't everything. Like, if you think you can potentially network or get a few more clients, or, maybe pick up some other bits while you're at a festival or so on, then, perhaps do it. But if it ultimately gets to that stage where the artist is like, look, I'm sorry, it's just too much for us, just be like, okay, cool, no worries. Like, if you want me to help you find someone else who's cheaper, like, I'm more than happy to do that, because they'll respect that as well, because then it's not you just like leaving them in the wind. It's like you're trying to help them out still in a way. And then, as I say, 6 months later, they'll come back because the other person wasn't like you.
True. No, that's all good info. And I think it's like a good point too to bring up, like, growing with certain artists, because I feel like that's almost the best way, because that's what I struggled with a while, is like, I moved to Chicago, bunch of shows, bunch of stuff, and initially it was like, well, how do I get work, right? Because like I'd email people, but I'd have no work to show for. So like, I think all the artists that I work with closely, like, I've shot some bigger shows, I've shot some smaller shows, but the artists that like I actually like work with on a regular basis, I would also hope, like, and kind of know too, they're all cool, we all have like good relationships, so there was no way that like there'd be some type of bridge burn. But yeah, I think it's a good point to bring up, like, growing with them, because then it's like, if they're growing, if in 1-2 years like their booking fees are doubled and tripled, then like, well, if I'm asking them for double the money, then like they technically probably have it. And if they don't want to pay that, so be it. Rather than, because I would never like, if they're making the same booking fees, I wouldn't like double my prices unless my work actually got that much better. But yeah, for sure. I mean,
I think a lot of it comes down to like, it's obviously personally how you want to gain it. Like I know some videographers that they'll just do it for cash. Like they'll take a lower gig and they'll get like they'll do a festival day or a festival weekend and they'll get 10 artists. So where you've got people say like myself, where I just work one-on-one with the artist and my entire full attention is on that artist. But for me, it's not just I start work here, like the whole process. And it's not even like when we're on tour and I'm videoing, I'm not just doing that. I'm like, we have like our production guy is also our tour manager, but obviously by me now being on tour means that I'm not essentially tour managing, but I'm looking after MK while he's playing and sorting stuff out, keeping an eye on the stage. So that then means that our production guy can focus more on the production and more on the shows. And like, I'm not paid to do that. It's not that I'm asking to be, but I feel like if you naturally step into a role and obviously you're building a rapport with that client, you sort of putting the price up you have to almost show the value in it, like warranting it in a way, if that makes sense. I mean, when I started, I'm not going to say exact figures, but like when I started with MK, they came to me, like his team come to me and they were like, look, these are the 2 shows we've got. This is the budget for the whole weekend. Like, we'll cover your travel and all that. Like, can you do it? And I was like, straight away, it was like I hadn't filmed like a big, like major headline festival at that point. So regardless of the price, I was going to do it because I was like, it's experience. And I've been planning for this my entire career. I know exactly what I can do and how I know exactly how. And to this day, every single shot is exactly how I wanted it to do. The weather came out perfect, the perfect soundtrack. And I just knew exactly how I wanted to do it. So when that offer come in and I knew this was my one chance, I was like, it's not just showing them what I can do, but I know like I can show everyone else what I can do. Like I've been hustling away for ages and this is like my first chance to do a major festival and like really sort of blow the pants off it. And Creamfields ended up sharing the video like 6 times throughout the year. Like for an artist video, I'll happily sit here and have a big ego and say, but it was epic. It was sick. We got it out in 5 days. Like it was an awesome video. It's still one of my favorite videos I've done. But then from there, like I think me making sure that first impression was so good. When they then come to book the next show in, it was like, okay, what's the fee? But I also said originally, went from the get-go, I said, yeah, I'm more than happy to do these two first shows at this price. But after that, like I do want to have a discussion about what my normal fee is because this isn't what I would do normally per show.
Right. That makes sense. And I found you through that Creamfields video. It's the one I'm thinking of. And me and my friend actually, I mean, for other reasons than your video too, but like if I hadn't seen your video and if you hadn't made, like, I'm sure Creamfields is like epic, but if it didn't look as epic as it did in your video, we wouldn't have bought tickets. We literally bought tickets like a month or 2 later to go fly to the UK. And that right there is like, and I'm like, I knew what was going on too, because I do video work, but I attend these shows too. Yeah. So I was like, fuck, dude, he got me. Like, it made it look so fucking good. So that's the power of it too. And if anyone like denies that, so like, obviously MK like believes in what you do and like the power that your craft has on like his shows, because they're all great shows, but the fact that you can make them look the way you do is like obviously a skill. So I think it's important to find artists who like really believe in that too. No, but and then also I was gonna say another thing I was actually gonna bring up is like when I met you in person, it was at the Meow Wolf show in like November, because I was shooting for Jay Wara and she was right before MK. And to your point about like kind of being like a team player and like doing different things for the artist and the production, I didn't even say to her like that I knew you or anything, but she was like, or that I talked to you on Instagram and whatnot, but she saw you like messing around with the USBs and the CDJs, and she's like, yo, like that guy knows what he's doing for sure. Because she had actually like, and this is another thing I was going to talk about, is she had talked to me earlier in the night about like me and like what I was doing, because she knows where I'm at. Like I just graduated, like I've been doing this for a few years, but really like that was the first show I ever got flown out to, so I'm like still pretty new to like the whole concert scene and actually you know, getting shows. And she told me like one thing she would recommend is TMing as well, on top of doing photo video stuff, because obviously then artists are going to look at you and you're going to be more valuable to them, and then also they're saving money as far as like not booking that extra hotel room, that extra flight. So I don't know like what your experience is with that. I know you said that's something like you're not like technically TMing, but like basically in some ways, and like helping out with the production. So is that something that like you were asked to do, or did you just fall right into that and kind of be like, all right, I'm going to learn this because fuck it makes me more, you know, valuable?
It wasn't something I was asked to do. It's something that I've just naturally fallen into, and it's happened with every artist I've worked with. I think even since like I was in school, I've always sort of been like a natural leader when it comes to sort of things, to group exercises or anything like that. So, I mean, first artist I went on tour with, Joel Corey, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. Like he never had a tour manager, and he didn't like the sort of gig. We didn't really need a tour manager, but if there was any issues, I would just step up and just sort of deal with it. Like I'd check us into the hotels, you know, just sort all the drinks right out, just speak to the production guy when we're on way, and little bits like that. Like I sort of know that, I guess it's just because I've always been sort of in this industry since I was like 18, so like 8 years, is that it's all about just making that artist as comfortable as possible. Like even while MK's DJing, I'll always make sure that we've got a fan set up or towels, because it's just simple stuff that always just gets left behind. So like we won't have any towels there. I'll always be like, look, do you want a drink? I'll tell him how long minutes left of the set is. I think I've just naturally just fallen into it, but I quite like it as well, because I would hate for something to happen on a show or the artist be annoyed and be like, I could have done something to change that, if that makes sense. I mean, for me personally, I love it. Like I love the whole TM inside of it, and eventually I think that is, once I sort of hang up my camera, I think that is something that I will step into. But yeah, it's not really, so it was something that I was never asked to do. I've just naturally fallen into it, but I always do it in a way which is non-intrusive. And if you're in the industry, you'll know like how easy it is to get a bad name on anything. Like if you can just piss one person off or do something wrong. So I just always make sure like I'm just really kind to people, and you know, people won't necessarily remember the extra kind people, but they're going to remember if you're like a knobhead, and they'll tell other people. And you know how it is in the industry, word spreads so quickly. Even with other videographers, like we did a festival in summer. I'm not going to say the name. It was just a bit of a nightmare. Like, look, people kept coming on stage, like, and there was lots of photographers and videographers, and I basically pulled all of them to one side. I was like, look, we normally have a closed stage. Like, we don't normally allow any videographers or photographers on other than me or who I say. Oh, excuse me. But in this instance, like, I'll allow 1 or 2 of you on stage at a time, but I don't want no selfies. I don't want like none of this stuff. Like you go on, you get your shot, and you go straight off again. And I think just I try to make everyone else's life just a little bit easier, if that makes sense. Like, and I think because we're younger as well, like we're on top of a lot of stuff. So it's like, okay, we've got to do this. Okay, let's do that. And maybe we sometimes go like maybe a little bit too OTT, a bit over the top on stuff that isn't actually as big of a deal as we think. But that's just where I'm a perfectionist. I'm such a perfectionist, and I just always want everything to be perfect. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to sort of you and obviously the artists you're working with and other artists, how are you sort of finding it? How are you finding it being in them roles? Like what sort of content are they demanding from you? Are they wanting instant content? Are they quite free on it? Like with MK stuff, we're quite chilled out, as in it's not chilled out, but I have a lot of creative control, so I can suggest something. They're like, yeah, okay, cool, do it. like, yeah, okay, or do you have like a brief to set to? Are they like, okay, we want live clips, we just want photos, or how does that sort of work with you, and how are you finding that?
Yeah, I've been pretty like lucky with the artists that I do work closely with, that I do have control over it more or less. We usually just like establish beforehand like kind of what any type of deliverables are. And a lot of the guys I work with are like tech house artists, and sometimes these club shows won't really be like that demanding of a recap, you know? Because like sometimes there'll be smaller club shows and they're like, hey, we want just raw clips. Like that's really what we need. Jay Wura, for example, like that Meow Wolf show, part of the reason she flew me out was because she was like, I really want to recap, like this production's gonna be sick. And it was, and like that was a pretty big show for her at the time. But as far as like within the recap, usually it's pretty free flowing, which is cool. And I think like those working relationships are like really awesome, because like with MK, like you, and that's the importance of the first impression too, is like you made that recap, and then so they're like, well, we don't need to, you know, micromanage him because he knows how to make a dope recap, you know? Like the first recap I shot for her, I think I reached out to her, like kind of cold called her, and I was like, hey, it was Spring Awakening in Chicago, so it was a local festival, but it's like one of our bigger festivals here. And I was like, hey, would love to come shoot your set, like love your music, and shot it, and you know, she was really like blown away by it. So from there it was kind of just like, yeah, like do what you want to do with the recaps, like we trust you. And for them too, a lot of it is like the farthest it goes is like just picking a track for the recap, really. So I've been like pretty fortunate with that. So yeah, but definitely like to your point about it's cool that you do the stuff you do, not necessarily because it makes you more valuable, because not that would be like a wrong way to go about it, but that does make you more valuable, right? Like, and I've noticed too, like some of the best advice I've gotten has been just to, you know, if you can be someone like the artist wants to hang out with genuinely, you know, like they're way more willing to bring you on tour and stuff, like but also I
think as well it's important not to force it though as well.
Yeah,
like you can't force it. Like
I still give artists like their space and all that, but then like prime example, so I went on tour with Joel Corey, then like we stopped touring for, like I stopped doing his stuff for a few years, but I've still supported his work, and you know, I'm in a position of power now where I can, you know, put certain tracks to certain people. Not that I'm saying I've had any influence of that, but as in, you know, I still keep in touch with him. And then I saw him the other week at a show, and it's like, we're mates now for literally like for fucking life. It's sick. Like we had such a good time on tour, and I think because we're both there from the early days, and like he's smashing it now, he's in all the charts. And I remember just me, him and his mate driving 4 or 5 hours to gigs, and him being like, oh, I don't like the music I'm playing, I want to change it, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then I was like, look, okay, we'll just do this, like knuckle down and do it, because if you do it, like if you just put your head to it, you can do it and you will get there. And lo and behold, like, you know, 4 or 5 years later, he's like number 3 in the official UK charts with his second track. The other one was like most Shazam track. So it's like so pride for me, and just be like, that's, you know what, I'm so happy for you, and it's so sick. Like to see you go from point A to sort of point B is just awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, like you said, not forcing it too, like not being obtrusive and stuff. Because like the artists I work with, like I never really have forced that. We've just kind of got along. But like, you know, you want to just be like nice and like be a fly on the wall, but also find that good balance. Also like being someone, like you said, like kind of supporting them, and like also being someone that they want to chill with and stuff, because they're not going to take you on tour if like you're like not any fun. Not that you have to be like all over the place, like super crazy and fun to hang out with, but they just want like someone who they can be chill with, and you know, like especially if you're TMing and stuff on top of like whatever type of video photo stuff you're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I said when I first, like this past summer was a summer that I really sort of went on tour, and I remember pitching it to them at the beginning of the year, and I'd prepared this entire speech, this like presentation of why I wanted to and the value I could give, and I got like one sentence in, and they were like, yeah. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, what do you mean, yeah? They're like, yeah. They're like, this is what we've been working towards for the last 2 years. But it's taken 2 years to make sure that, we all know we can all work together. The relationship's grown organically. We didn't want to force it. And it's like, oh, okay, so like it has all been, it has all worked. But yeah, I think just sort of having faith in it. And as you said, just being a cool person to be around, not causing issues, not being too loud and so on, I think is like quite important. With yourself, where do you sort of see your next sort of few years? Like, where do you want to sort of like go to next? Like, what's your plan? Do you just want to sort of go more on the road? Do you want to get some more artist stuff? What's sort of like the plans for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of trying to balance doing this type of concert stuff with more like commercial work. And because for me right now, I would love to tour. I would absolutely love to tour. But obviously with what's going on right now, actually, so Jay Wara had a tour coming up actually in May. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. I was going to hopefully like get some time on that. But my next couple of years, like, we'll see what happens with everything going on now. But I'm always going to do the concert stuff. It's just for me right now, that's not like super realistic to like pay all the bills. And on top of that,
Yeah.
I think what this can teach all of us is like to really make sure you're kind of diversifying your income streams, because it can all be stripped away pretty quick. So
literally.
Yeah, it's
a matter of days. I think I lost. I'm not going to say the figure, but I lost like 3 months worth of work in the space of 2 days.
It's nuts, right? Yeah. And the day before it happened, you probably weren't really thinking much of that at all. Yeah.
I had my eye on it, but I didn't think it would be as much of a major thing as it's ended up being.
But that's going back to like, you can do other shit though. Like, you've done other shit. So it's not like you're necessarily lost and stuck compared to someone who has only shot concerts. And I think that's like what I'm taking away from this too, because for me, I was like, it's still my passion to do the concert stuff, the nightlife stuff, because I also like really love the music. So going to shoot a show is like, it's fun. Like hopefully like you can cut this out maybe, but like I'd fucking do it for free like almost every time. I don't want anyone to see that because they might be like, hey, you said you didn't do it for free. But
No, but mate, I mean, I'm the same way. I would still shoot, and there's gigs that I've still done for very cheap because I've wanted to do them. And when I'm there, just because I'm getting paid less doesn't mean that I'm doing less work. I can't help it. I put 110% in every time because, like I said earlier, I'm a perfectionist and I do it because I enjoy it. It's not.
Like, I saw your Creamfields video, like straight up I saw it and like, yeah, it made me want to go to Creamfields, but also it made me want to make like damn, like I really want to shoot more concerts. Like seeing shit like that, I love it because I think it's like concert stuff is really cool because when you can pull out videos like that, it's super impressive because you only have an hour to shoot. Sometimes more, sometimes less. So like, I love that like whole running around type thing, and like you're in such a flow state. It's crazy compared to other lines of work. Because the set's over, you're like, holy fuck, what just happened? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very, very. I've never really thought of that, but yeah, you're right. But you literally have a limited time window to get what you can, and that's it.
Yeah, like have you ever caught yourself like in the middle of a set, just spacing out or like going on your phone? Like, nah, you're running around. And I saw you too when you were shooting the MK thing, like at Meow Wolf, like you're just running around, and that's like, to me, that's what I want my work to always be, because that doesn't feel like work and it makes time pass quickly and stuff, So like, and I love it. But for going back to like my next couple of years, I'm hoping to still do that and then like put a lot of time into that to where I can grow and hopefully have that be a full-time thing. But I'm also thinking of, starting some type of LLC, maybe not under my name, but just like a small LLC, and doing like real estate stuff, commercial stuff, because I still enjoy that. Like it's not, I'm not nearly as passionate about doing like real estate photography and commercial photography, videography, as I am concert stuff. But like I said, that's a way for me to kind of diversify my work, and it's a way to guarantee the bills are paid better while being able to freelance. Because like I said before, unfortunately, where I'm at with just kind of getting let go from this agency, like that's not looking like an option for maybe, I mean, who knows how this all plays out, but that's not an option right now. So I want to, say like, fuck it, I'm going to do my thing now, make sure I can freelance, even if it means doing some stuff that I'm not fully passionate about, so that I can do the stuff I'm passionate about.
Yeah, man. Nah, for sure. You've got, that's how you got to do it, man. I mean, it's, sometimes you have to do that just to get the money in. And there's some, it's like everything. You're not always going to have jobs you love. I mean, I've done real estate stuff like corporate. There's some seriously good money in it for not really that much work. And if you're good at it, you can really sort of streamline your workflow and make your life nice and easy. I've done some camera op stuff that's still been challenging, but it's, I haven't been using my gear, literally just turned up and shoot for someone else. So it's cool, man. I think it's definitely, it's so important, especially like this time just proved, just to be like multi-skilled, cross-skilled in so many different things, like, because you never know when this sort of thing's going to happen. And not just that, it provides a nice mix-up if you get fed up of doing concert stuff, or you've got, like, the winter period is sometimes quiet, like that January to March time's quiet for gigs anyway. So, like, you could go into property or corporate and so on.
And that stuff's always going to be there, like, it's weird because, like, when I decided I wanted to do this for a career, I never wanted it to feel like a career, right? And that's why I love the concert stuff, because it never once to me has felt like a job, like no show I've shot. But yeah, the fact of the matter is, like, I'd rather freelance and do some more like boring stuff so that I can be my own boss and whatnot. And that's why, like, what was I gonna say? You can cut this shit out, but but basically, like, with working at that agency, what I really did like about commercial work was that, as you mentioned, it was all these different things. Like, we would shoot something for White Claw, and then we would have like this big Cars.com production, and then we would have a really small in-studio thing for like a local restaurant, back-to-back days. And that's why I didn't really go like the film route, because you're stuck on a job for like 2-3 months at a time. But yeah, with kind of diversifying myself, it's crazy how much shit's been taken away, because the concert stuff's been taken away, and then I realized how much of my other stuff, one of the best kind of connections I've had right now, I've been working with Nike Chicago a lot and doing just camera work for them. There's this company called, it's dope, and it's not really big stuff, but most of it's like internal. But there's so many events in Chicago that they'll hire us out, get paid good day rates, like All-Star Weekend, for example. NBA All-Star Weekend was here. So it's like, 6-7 days of straight work, and it's just basic like camera operation with the A7S, but it's enjoyable. It's all based around these cool events, and they'll do like shoe releases, stuff like that in the city. But like that, for example, that's large gatherings, so that's done. So it's like, I think it's really important to kind of spread yourself out more than you think you even need to, and then if you want, like later on, you can kind of scale back. But I'm looking now, like, realistically at what stuff is around no matter what, and I think like real estate's around, like weddings, for example, right now too. Like, people are having to cancel weddings because they're large gatherings. It's crazy.
Everything is, isn't it? It's everyone's on lockdown. It's
nuts. So yeah, I don't know, but how about you? How are your next few months looking?
Empty, mate. Everything's just waiting. I had sports festivals that were booked in. That's gone. That was like 3 weeks worth of work. I had teams on that as well, so it wasn't just me who got let down. It was like 3 other guys who got let down as well. Yeah, mate, it's just been a bit crap. I've still got some retainers from like other companies and stuff, so like financially should be okay, hopefully, and the government's providing some support. If not, I'm gonna go get a part-time job until all of this picks up again, because even if the government can give support but it's not to a good level, or you have to pay it back or something, it's easier just to go get a job. But I just wanted to talk quickly as well. Your website is so nicely laid out. I like it, man.
Thank you. I was wondering if you're gonna critique it, but any critique I'll take. But I appreciate it. That's sick.
The only thing I think I would change is your about page. It looks like the text isn't sitting right.
Yeah.
So
I would say so.
I would just remove the thanks for or maybe change the thanks for stopping by and just start a new line on that. I pride myself. I don't know if that's just causing that because of my window.
No, let me check it. No, it's weird. And this is all new too, so clearly I'm better at visual stuff than this text.
The testimonials look cool, man.
I gotta put a couple more in there too. As you can see, they're not in the corners. They're not really.
Yeah, like having a website is like one of them things that you've just got to have, isn't it? Not many people probably actually look at it, but you just got to have it. It's like one of them.
Yeah, because you never know who's gonna hit it, and obviously, like, you know, it makes it easy to. I haven't done like a bunch of like emails recently, but I've thought about with all this is just like, especially with when I start up this real estate type thing, just emailing like a bunch of realtors. But I mean, how easy when I do my concert stuff though, when I've like kind of cold called people through email in the past, it's been way better to have like, here's my website than here's like 4 separate video links and 10 photos you can download. Like, no, here's my website. This is my page.
Yeah, give them something. I always try to be as direct as you can with anyone you're talking to. Create less barriers. It's even like setting up links for the podcast. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it this way because that means I've got to do 4 extra clips, like 4 extra clicks to get to the destination. If I can do it in 2 clicks, that's what they need. Because people are lazy. You have to assume everyone's lazy and everybody's got the attention span of a cat or a dog. It's like, you know, you just got to make it as easy as possible. But I want to wrap it up there. So thank you, Mason, for being the guinea pig of the one-to-one podcast. The one-to-one podcast. It's been cool, man. We talked about some cool subjects. I think we'll definitely do another one as well where we can make it a little bit more structured and stuff beforehand. But this was more sort of for all you guys at home to sort of hear someone else's sort of point of view and someone else who's in the same creative space that I am, but is basically doing it in America. So hopefully you guys did get something out of that. Before we go, Mason, if there's anything you want to plug, your social media, your website, anything like that, go. This is your moment.
Shit, I feel like I'm on hot ones. Mason Ripple is my social media, at Mason Ripple, MasonRippel. Check out my work. Reach out to me too if you guys have any questions or, you know, I'd love to connect with any of you guys. I think that's like a really cool thing we have, especially in this time now. That's how I met you, and then, you know, met you in person at a random show. So I think it's cool. Let's all connect and lift each other up and stuff. Would love to like view your work as well. And then my website is just my name, visualsattheend.com. So
you guys hit him up, man. Mason's got some sick stuff on the ground, man. I really like his work. It's nice.
Thank you.
And yeah, man. Well, next time I'm in the States, man, let's link 100%. It would have been Miami, but obviously
it's a bummer. I was
COVID caught up, man.
Fuck it. We'll get him next year.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening to the EGGPlosive Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you are on Spotify or Apple, don't forget to follow, subscribe, give it a rating. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hit me up on the socials, and I will see you next time.